Hey everyone, hopefully this is going to work this time around. I mean, the first time I tried it, it didn't read it for some odd reason. My assumption is that this only goes up to the 30th. That's what I just found out. So basically, whatever days, date-wise on this recorder that I have, whatever I record is not going to be read, apparently for the 30th. But yeah, going to 31 days, you're just going to have to skip a day or something like that or come up with something different. But anyway, before I get into the topic of this video, I want to ask you guys to do me a solid favor, and that's like the video, ring the bell for notifications, subscribe to the channel, and share the video. Again, like the video, ring the bell for notifications, subscribe to the channel, and share the video. And ring the bell for like I said, ring the bell for notifications. Also, if you would like, you can find my content elsewhere outside of YouTube. You can find me at all your favorite audio and video podcast affiliates like iTunes, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Spotify, Audible, Amazon Music, Radio Public, and to an extent, SiriusXM. Basically, wherever you listen to your podcast at, more than likely you'll find mine there as well. You can also find me at other video outlets like rumble.com and vimo.com. There you'll find identical content that you see here on my main YT channel, but you'll also find some content that's a little bit, non-YouTubey, if you know what I mean. Basically YouTube would look down upon it or kind of question it. So if you want to check that content out, it's on one of those two sites. Also, you can find me at Dailymotion and Odyssey.com. Also, ladies and gentlemen, you can follow me at Twitter, aka X.com, and Blue Sky. I have links in the description for those. And you can follow me at Twitch.tv and Kick.com. I haven't started the Kick channel yet, or live streamer yet, but eventually I will. That's basically like a backup. And Twitch.tv, I haven't utilized that in a while, but I do have stuff on there as well if you would like to check that out. Also, if you're into art, you can find me at deviantart.com at bvw1979 and inkbunny.net at bwroses. Also, ladies and gentlemen, you can go to my two online stores I have. I have my Fourth Wall store, which is new. It's been up for a couple of weeks now. I have one bit of item there, but I'm sure you'll like it. And I'm gradually kind of easing into the Fourth Wall store because I want to make sure there's no hiccups. And yeah, I do have one piece of item. If you're a Rescue Ranger fan, it is there. And then the link is at the top of the description. And also, guys, if you want to check out my my OG Spring store, the link to that are at the bottom. You can get merchandise there, where basically where you can't get anywhere else, or that you can't get anywhere else. We'll put it that way. Um, Also, Cash App and Venmo are open if you would like to help donate through that, if you would like. And then during the video premiere here, you can check me. You can come in and say hi, I should say, in the video premiere. In the live chat, or during the video premiere in the live chat, as well as during the live chat, super chats will be open if you would like to donate there, if you will. And then if you don't watch the premiere of the video in time, that's fine, and you watch it later. You can comment in the comment section afterwards, and even during the video premiere. But again, afterwards, mostly if you didn't get into the live chat during the video premiere when it happened. And if you want to donate, the super thanks option, the little heart with the dollar sign in the middle, will be up and going after the video premiere is over. Now, with that said, let's get into the topic at hand here. Excuse me, topic at hand here. Now, like I said, originally I had done this earlier, but apparently this video recorder only goes up to 30 days. Whoever, it's the what's the name? Evister, EVSTR, Evister. Apparently, when they put these together, they didn't operate it to where it can go beyond 30 days. It only does a 30-day recording, which means basically you got to skip a day if you are recording with this, or what you're going to have to do is use maybe the recorder on your phone or somewhat to do any audio if you would like. But in my case, you might have to find alternate means of providing content, like I did with the WWE 2K24 Halloween stuff that I did. But with that said, the reason I'm redoing this is because earlier I was talking about something that the MeTV Toons updates, if you will, the MeTV Toon updates and news Twitter account had reported, and I'll probably put that up here, along with this as well. But basically, they reported, if you will, they reported something that was, first acknowledged on the 19th, and then 2 days ago, now 2 days ago by the time you watch this, basically it was reported by MeTV Toons themselves. And what was reported, you might ask, as I just checked something here for a second, but what was reported, you might ask? Oops, got the wrong pen in there. There we go. But what was reported, you might ask? And that was my thing. I'm trying to do something here. There we go. Yeah, take a picture if you will. I'm trying to take a picture of the screen. So if you hear anything going off like that, that's me taking a screenshot picture with my tablet. But basically, on the 19th, and this was reported back on October 19th by, like I said, MeTV Toon Updates and News on Twitter, that MeTV Toons, Wagler Broadcasting, the owners of it, was starting to release their upcoming schedule for their annual "'Tis the Season to Be Toons." That's what they call it. Oh, "'Tis the Season for Toons." That's what it is. Not to be tunes, but "'Tis the Season for Toons." They had started to release some I guess you could say shows, specials that were going to be coming out today, later on today. Um, if you will, depending on how you watch MeTV Toons. If you're watching it over the air, cable, DirecTV, Dish Network, regular DirecTV and Dish Network, then you're okay. You can watch it at the time it comes on where you're at locally. But if you're going through Friendly, Philo, and the streaming outlet for DirecTV, then you're going to have to go with the Eastern time zone, but subtract maybe a couple of hours from that. But basically, tis the season for Toons. That schedule was slowly being brought out on the 19th, according to MeTV Toon Updates and News. And then 2 days ago, officially, MeTV Toons came out and basically released the rest of the schedule. And the big difference between last year and this year is that they're going to be doing 2 days instead of one. And basically, what that means is that instead of just Sundays. Hold on for a second while I double check something. Hold on. So I'm just reading off the official website. But basically, they did this last year and everything, and basically it was for one day. It was on a Saturday, and that was it. After that, everything else was regular. Well, this year they've decided to double it up and everything. And like I said, some of this information started to come out around the 19th of last month, which is October now, last month, because right now it's November 1st. But this information started to come out, and then like I said, as of 2 days ago, MeTV Toons decided to release the entire schedule. And unlike last year, as I was saying, it's going to be a lot different because instead of just one weekend day, if you will, instead of one weekend day, if you will, that instead they're going to do both weekend days, that being both Saturday and Sunday. And this is from their own. I guess you could say their own website, from their own website, if you will. And hold on for a second while I do something. And that was again my tablet. Just I'm trying to take some pictures here. I'll probably take some later on afterwards. But it says here, this is from MeTV Toons on website. This is from their own website. It says, and I quote, "It's the top. It's okay. Let me reread that. Guys. But this is from MeTV Toons' own website. This is what they say, and I quote, "It's the time to celebrate the holidays with MeTV Toons. Halloween is over, and while we are very excited about Thanksgiving, it's the holiday season that we are really looking forward to. Last year we showed you holiday cartoons every Saturday, but this year we are showing you cartoons on both Saturday and Sunday every weekend leading up to Christmas." And then they say this, and I quote, "Beginning November 1st, we will be airing your favorite holiday-themed cartoons. 'Tis the Season for Toons will begin Saturdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Pacific and 5 Central, and Sundays at 5 p.m. 4 Central. Now again, that all depends on how you, how, where, and when you watch MeTV Toons. Again, if it's locally, you're good. If it's not, then you're going to have to subtract by a couple of hours if you're watching through the streaming outlets. Continuing on, they say, that's not all. We also have Thanksgiving and Black Friday specials coming up. Keep your eyes peeled on the site for more information about those holiday specials. So, here's what they put out on the 30th. This is the full schedule. Okay, and again, some of this got leaked out on the 19th. But here's what they put out. Here's what they put out, okay? They put out, and I'm just going to, again, take a picture there. Let me lower this so you don't always hear that. But it's okay. So here's what they have for starting today, later today, depending on when you listen to this and all that. Hopefully, you'll be listening to this in the morning before it all starts. But here's what they say: starting today, November 1st, at 6 p.m. 5 Central. Again, depending on when, where, and how you watch, you will have the Thanksgiving that almost wasn't. And they do have synopsis. They say a talking squirrel must save the first Thanksgiving by finding two missing boys. Okay, that's the first special to kick off the Tis the Season of, for Toons event. And then following that at 6:30 and 5:30, basically 6:30 p.m., 5:30 Central, is a Flintstone Christmas Carol. Synopsis: the Bedrock community players put on a production of A Christmas Carol, and Fred lets his lead role of Ebenezer Scrooge go to his head and becomes a bit of a Scrooge himself. Now, to me, to be honest with you, this is probably one of the best adaptations, from a kid-friendly, family-friendly perspective that you're going to get. They're not, word for word, adapting the story, but you definitely get some elements that when you read the books originally, you're like, oh, they took that from here. That's cool. So that's going to be tomorrow, along with the Thanksgiving that almost wasn't. Right before that, starting at 6 o'clock, 6 p.m., 5 Central. Those are going to be the first two. Then on November 2nd is going to be a marathon. This is how MeTV Toons News and Updates, MeTV Toons Updates and News Twitter page put it. There's going to be a marathon of Dr. Seuss specials. So starting at 5 o'clock, 4 Central, you're going to have Horton Hears a Who. At 5:30, 4:30, you're going to have Dr. Seuss on the Loose. And if you're wondering, it's a mashup of green eggs and ham and the Sneetches. And then at 6 o'clock, 5 Central, you're going to have the Lorax, the classic Lorax, not the Illumination one, but the original one. Then following that, you're going to have at 6:30, 5:30, Daisy Head Mayzie. That was one of the more newer ones back in the 90s that debuted, I think on TBS. I think TBS or network. I think it was on CBS, wasn't it? Correct me if I'm wrong. Then, basically, following that, at 7 o'clock, 6 Central, 7 p.m. 6 Central, Dr. Seuss's The Hoober-Bloob Highway, a cartoon that explains where babies come from. They're sent from space down the Hoober-Bloob Highway to their families. That's basically what it is. And then to finish off the marathon at 7:30 p.m., 6:30 Central is the classic Dr. Seuss, The Cat in the Hat. So that's going to be on Sunday. That's going to be tomorrow, if you will. That's going to be tomorrow. Hold on for a sec, guys. All right, sorry about that. I have the security camera on right now, so sorry about that. But anyway, so that's the first 2 days. That's tomorrow and the second. Tomorrow and the second. Tomorrow and Sunday, that is. Then, a week from today, on the 8th of November, at 6 p.m. 5 Central, it's going to be Yogi's First Christmas. Yogi's First Christmas, 1980 animated holiday classic that debuted on television. I was 1 year old when it came out, but as I got older and I got to watch Christmas specials and all that, I remember watching this and enjoying it. You're going to enjoy it as well. And then, the following day, you're going to have Sunday, November 9th. Sunday, November 9th. You're going to have The Little Troll Prince at 5 p.m. 4 Central. The Little Troll Prince. And then at 6 p.m. 5 Central, you're going to have the Smurfs. It's a Smurfy Life, The Abominable Snow Beast, Journey to the Center of the Smurf, a series of festive, winter wonderful episodes of the Smurfs. And they say that will be followed. What will follow those episodes will be "Tis the Season to Be Smurfy" and the Smurfs Christmas Special. Again, at 4 Central, 5 p.m. Eastern Pacific, The Little Troll Prince, and then following that at 6 p.m. 5 Central, The Smurfs. Basically, it's a 2-hour block of The Smurfs, where you're going to have basically it's a Smurfy Life, The Abominable Snow Beast, Journey to the Center of the Smurf, basically a series of festive, winter, wonderful episodes of the Smurfs, and those will be followed with the two specials, "Tis the Season to Be Smurfy" and the Smurfs Christmas Special, both in which I do have on DVD thanks to Frank Hill. Now, continuing on, and I quote, looking at the 15th of this month, looking at the 15th, we will have on Saturday, November 15th, a whole day, or well, not a whole day, but a majority of Flintstones to start us off, and then we will have it finished off by Yogi, and this is how it's going to go. You're going to have at 6 p.m. 5 Central on November 15th, a Flintstones Christmas, the original 1970 special, and then you're going to have at 7 p.m. 6 Central a Flintstone Family Christmas, which is basically the last primetime special that they did on ABC. It pretty much served as a quasi-holiday sequel to the Hello Rockabye Baby, where Pebbles and Bam Bam became parents. This was sort of the quasi-pseudo sequel, if you will, follow-up finale, if you will, to it, because basically Fred and Wilma adopt a foster kid or a kid off the street as a foster kid, if you will, and that's at 7 p.m. 6 Central, and then to close out November 15th at 7:30 p.m. 6:30 Central, you have Yogi's All-Star Christmas Caper, which is basically a special that came out a couple of years after Yogi's First Christmas. And the one thing I will always say about that, for some odd reason, they even use it for the covers when they release stuff on DVD. I don't know why they do it, but they need to use the original. I guess you could say theatrical poster, if you will. They need to use the original one with all the characters around the reef and everything, the heads around the reef and everything, and Yogi's like in the middle of the reef, and it says Yogi's First Christmas. They need to use that one, and not one that makes it basically make people confused, if you know what I mean. And but yeah, this new special that they did back back in the '80s, like I said, several years afterwards. It's 7:30 p.m. 6:30 Central. That rounds up or finishes up Saturday, November 15th. Then on Sunday, November 16th, we're going to have a whole day of Flintstones. Basically, it's a weekend of Flintstones with a little bit of a Yogi variety, a little bit of a Yogi thrown in there for variety, I should say. But on Sunday, November 16th, this is what we're going to get. We're going to get, and here's the other thing too. I think they mentioned this at the start, right? Let me see if I see this here. But okay, they don't mention it. But basically, what it is that on Saturdays you're going to get a 2-hour block. Starting at 6 p.m. 5 Central. You're going to get a 2-hour block of Christmas episodes, specials, movies, if you will. And then on Sunday you're going to get a 3-hour block that starts at 5 o'clock 4 Central. So basically, you're going to get, like I said, a 2-hour block on Saturday, and then the following day on Sunday you're going to get a 3-hour block. Now, me personally, I would have switched those around because Sunday is the day before everybody goes back to work. Kids get ready to go back to school. I would have switched that around and said, okay, let's put the 3-hour block on Saturday and the 2-hour block on Sunday. But that's their decision. Hopefully they correct it next year. But yeah, starting today, you're going to get a 2-hour block, and then tomorrow you're going to get a 3-hour block. And basically both of them start. Well, not. Well, I was going to say they start at the same time, but both of them start later on in the afternoon, towards the evening. And then, like I said, the Saturday ones, they start at 6 p.m. 5 Central, and then the Sunday ones start at 4 Central at 5 p.m. 4 Central. So Saturday it's 6 p.m. 5 Central. Sundays it's 4 p.m. It's 5 p.m. 4 Central. That's what it is. So Saturdays 6 p.m. 5 Central. Sundays 5 p.m. 4 Central. I know it's made it just a little. I know it may sound confusing there, but you'll see it on the screen when you're watching this. You'll see it on the screen when you're watching this. But to get back to where were we? Okay, so like I said, on November 15th, we have basically 2 hours of Flintstone. And well, not 2 hours of Flintstones. We have an hour and a half of Flintstones. We have the Flintstone Christmas, the 1970 special, and then a Flintstones Family Christmas. Again, like I said, it was the original. It was the last original primetime special, holiday special, what have you, mini movie aired on ABC. It served as a quasi sequel to Holla Rockabye Baby. And then that's followed up That's followed up at 7:30, 6:30 Central on the 15th of this month by Yogi's, All-Star Comedy Christmas Caper. Yogi's All-Star Comedy Christmas Caper. Then Sunday, and this is basically This is basically how you have to look at it. This is basically almost a whole. I guess you could say a whole weekend of Flintstones Christmas stuff with a bit of Yogi Bear, Pac-Man, Sonic, and Taz. And I'll get into that in a moment. The Tasmanian Devil thrown in for variety. Because on Sunday, and the reason I say this is because on Sunday, the 3-hour block, which starts at 5 p.m. 4 Central, again, 2 hours on Saturdays, 3 hours on Sundays, like I said, the 2 hours start at 6 p.m. 5 Central on Saturdays, Sundays, 5 p.m. 4 Central on Sundays, if you will. Again, I know I'm not trying to sound confusing, but 6 p.m. 5 Central Saturdays, 5 p.m. 4 Central on Sundays. So that's the last time I'm going to say it. I do apologize. But on the 16th, this is the way it's going to go. At 5 p.m. 4 Central, 5 p.m. 4 Central, you're going to have the Flintstones Christmas Flintstone. That is a regular episode of the Flintstones that was Christmas related. That was back when the show first ran in prime time. And then that's followed up by, at 5:30 p.m., 4:30 Central, by Cave Kids, a Cave Kids Christmas. And basically, as I alluded to last year when they did this, Cave Kids is was basically a collaboration between Warner Brothers, Hanna-Barbera, and PBS. That's what it was, because I remember when I first saw this on television, it was on the PBS network. So to me, that's what it's always going to be looked at as a collaboration between PBS and Hanna-Barbera and Warner Brothers. That's the way I look at it, because it basically was supposed to be aimed at younger kids and serve as not serve them, but teach them educational values. With through Pebbles and Bam Bam. Okay, so basically, yeah, that's at 5:30 p.m. 4:30 Central on the 16th of this month, and that's after the Christmas Flintstone episode, which is at 5 p.m. 4 Central on the 16th, which kicks everything off on that day. Then, after Cave Kids, that's followed by, at 6 p.m. 5 Central, Yo Yogi, there's no business like snow business, and it says, Yogi and his friends have to stop the abominable snow dude from scaring skiers. Because, in case you don't know about the show, Jellystone Mall actually has an indoor ski resort. This like indoor mall, which is basically like a little city, if you will. It's under a dome and all that. Basically, one of the attractions they have there that brings people there is they have a ski lift. They have a ski mountain, if you will. So that's why this episode's in there. Then after that, at 6:30 p.m., 5:30 Central, Yo Yogi, there's no business like snow business. That's followed at 6:30 p.m., 5:30 Central, by Christmas Comes to Pac-Land, which is a special that aired in prime time, based on the Pac-Man animated series that Hanna-Barbera did back in the 80s. Then, That's followed by something a lot of fans are going to be glad to see, and I do recommend that if you're a Sonic fan and you want MeTV Toons to try to get the rights to SatAM, try to get the rights to Adventures and Underground, and air them on their network in the future, my recommendation, DVR this special. My recommendation is watch it live if you can. Get those viewership and rating numbers up, because the more you do that, the more it's going to grab their attention and make them, realize, oh, there's something here with this. Let's try to get the rest of these Sonic cartoons by DIC over to our side. Because they're already all over the place, if you will, like YouTube, Paramount, Tubi, Peacock. They even have their own channel on Samsung TV Plus and Pluto TV. So basically, adding MeTV Toons to the lineup, to that resume, it just makes things even better, for those kind of cartoons, if you will. But yeah, basically after Christmas comes to Pac-Land, which is at 6:30 p.m., 5:30 Central. At 7 p.m., 6 Central is Sonic's Christmas Blast. And what makes this special so unique, in case nobody knows, is basically this is the special, which is kind of like it feels like kind of like a hybrid of Adventures and SatAM, leaning more towards adventure. But the reason I say it's like a hybrid, because a lot of the names and references, used in this special are related more so to SatAM. Like you got Robotnik's army, known as, even though they're drawn in the adventure style, they're called SWAT bots. You have the city, that people live in, called Robotropolis or Robotropolis. And then most of all, you have a cameo by Sally Acorn, Princess Sally Acorn, in her original season 1 SatAM design, but colored in her original pilot colors. Her pink, that basically means pink body fur and reddish hair, instead of brown, instead of the brown design, the brown body fur and all that we know of. That we knew of her, know of her, I should say, from season 1. Instead, it's the pink body and all that. But yeah, that's one of the reasons people love this so much, and people actually have done reactions of it. Here on YouTube, one group of people that did a reaction. You hear the reaction when they see her show up on screen. They're like, "What? Excuse me? What?" Like they couldn't believe it. But yeah, that's why it's so popular. And I do highly recommend, like I said, to do the things I suggested, because if you want MeTV Toons to get the Sonic cartoons on their channel, this is one way to do it. But yeah, that's at 7 p.m. 6 Central on the 16th, on Sunday, November 16th. And then to close out that day, we have the debut, the MeTV Toons debut, at 7:30 p.m. 6:30 Central, of Taz-Mania. Taz-Mania was an animated series done up somewhat in the style of what they had done with Animaniacs, what they had done with Tiny Toons, to an extent Freakazoid. Basically, it was a series focused on Taz himself, the Tasmanian Devil, as a young teenage boy. Well, that's what most of the segments were, because it was split up into like two 11-minute cartoons at times, with a few exceptions here and there, and this is one of them. But it was separated like into two, at most times separated into two separate cartoons, to where basically the first cartoon would be about Taz with his family, his mom, his dad, his siblings, his sister and his brother, and everything. And then the second part of the episode would be focused more on Taz being, kind of how you knew about him in the Looney Tunes shorts. Not like going after Bugs Bunny or anything like that, but more on his own, doing his own thing, no family or anything like that. He was just encountering different characters and all that throughout the show, and mostly it would feel, basically those segments, with just it being Taz, felt like they took place like in a different timeline, or a different universe, if you will, because again, it felt more like it was leaning towards classic Taz instead of what we got introduced to in the first half of the episodes with his family and all that. And again, that's when a majority of the episodes would be like that, but there were some episodes like this one that would be full on 30 minutes. And this one, basically, for the debut of Taz-Mania on MeTV Toons, it says, The episode is No Time for Christmas. In the synopsis, Taz puts on a Santa suit and spreads Christmas cheer all over Tasmania. So so there you go. That's the synopsis there, and that is for the debut of Tasmania, the series on MeTV TOONS on Sunday, November 16th at 7:30 p.m., 6:30 Central. That wraps up that day of Christmas content, 3 hours of Christmas content, which again begins with the Christmas episode from the original Flintstones run, Christmas Flintstones, at 5 p.m. 4 Central. That's followed by Cave Kids at Cave Kids Christmas at 5:30 p.m. 4:30 Central. Then that's followed by Yo Yogi, There's No Business Like Snow Business at 6 p.m. 5 Central. Then at 6:30 p.m. 5:30 Central, Christmas Comes to Pac-Land. That's followed by at 7 p.m. 6 Central by Sonic Christmas Blast. And then and then the 3-hour block is wrapped up at 7:30 p.m. 6:30 Central by the debut of Tasmania and the Christmas episode No Time for Christmas. Then continuing on here, we have on Saturday, November 22nd. Saturday, November 22nd, we have at 7, and again, remember guys, this is basically a 2-hour block. This is a 2-hour block on Saturday. And I think they have more as well. Let me double check the Twitter, because I screenshotted some of the Twitters, if you will. Let me see if I can get this right here. Get it right. Make sure I don't miss anything. Okay, so they do have some things listed here, but it's a little different. Oh no, that's Sunday. Hold on. Let me get this right here, guys. Oh, okay. So here we go. So according to the MeTV TOONS updates and news Twitter page, on Saturday, November 22nd, you'll have Christmas. You will have on Saturday, November 22nd, you will have Casper's First Christmas, and that's followed by the 1972 Hanna-Barbera animated classic, A Christmas Story. Not the 1983 film, but the 1972 Hanna-Barbera animated classic. Now let's see how that differs here. It doesn't differ. It's pretty much the same. I just want to make sure, double check. But yeah, at 6 Central, at 7 p.m. 6 Central on November 22nd, you will have Casper's First Christmas, and then at 7:30 p.m. 6:30 Central, the 1972 Christmas Story by Hanna-Barbera. And the synopsis for that is this. It says, Little Timmy's letter to Santa never got mailed, so his dog Goober and the friendly mouse Gumdrop go on a journey to the North Pole to deliver Timmy's letter. So that's the synopsis for the 1972 A Christmas Story. And that's by Hanna-Barbera. Then, now you might ask yourself, well, wait a minute. Why is that only at 6 o'clock and 6:30? What happened to the 2-hour block? What's going on here? Well, that's what's interesting. Because basically, because it's Thanksgiving weekend, they might have some other things. Well, it's not Thanksgiving weekend. It's actually the weekend before Thanksgiving. So I don't know. I think they're going to have some more stuff scheduled and lined up, but we'll see. Because basically, this only serves for like maybe an hour, maybe an hour and a half. I don't know. But I think they do have some other stuff planned. So again, they're going to let us know about more information. You got like 2 hours blocked out. So I don't know if something is happening that day that, takes precedent, over that. We'll have to see. But right now at but basically on November 22nd, at 6 Central, 7 p.m. Eastern Pacific, is Casper's First Christmas. That's followed by at 7:30 p.m., 6:30 Central, A Christmas Story, the 1972 Hanna-Barbera classic. Then the next day, on November 23rd, they have at 5 p.m. 4 Central, Thanksgiving that almost wasn't. That's followed at 5:30, 4:30, if you will, by Yogi's All-Star Christmas Carol, Christmas Caper, I should say. And then that's followed up, and pretty much the day is closed up, finalized, if you will, by Yogi's First Christmas at 6 p.m., 5 Central. Now, Now, let me just take a little. Hold on for a second, guys. So I do something. Hold on. A little bit of a hair got on there. I don't know how. But then on, continuing on November 29th, on November 29th, which is a Saturday, we will have at 6 p.m. 5 Central the 1971 Richard Williams Chuck Jones classic, if you will, A Christmas Carol. It is Academy Award-winning cartoon retells the classic Dickens story, produced by Chuck Jones and animated by Richard Williams. I think that's the one. Then at 6:30 p.m. 5:30 Central, that's followed by the Little Rascals Christmas special. It says the animated Christmas special of the Little Rascals features two of the original Little Rascals playing the grown-ups, Daryl Hood and Type-Me Beard. So that's pretty cool. Then that's followed at 7 p.m. 6 Central by the town that Santa forgot. And then at 7:30, 6:30 Central, that's followed by the Jetsons, A Jetsons Christmas Carol. And remember, that's the 2-hour block. Then, on the 30th of November, we have at 5 p.m. 4 Central on Sunday, November 30th, the Flintstones Christmas Carol. That's followed at 6:30 p.m. 5:30 Central by Flintstone Family Christmas. And at 7 p.m. 6 Central, we close it up with a Flintstone Christmas, the 1970s classic. So Sunday, November 30th is nothing but Flintstones. That's kind of cool. Then on Saturday, December 6th, we have the MeTV TOONS debut of A Miser Brothers Christmas. That's right, the sequel, sort of, the spin-off sequel of The Year Without a Santa Claus. That makes its MeTV TOONS debut. That came out like in the 2000s, I think. Kind of a little bit of a mixed review to it and all that. But yeah, at 6 p.m. 5 Central, Miser Brothers Christmas will be coming together. Will be making its debut. And it basically says the feuding Heat Miser and Snow Miser must work together to rescue Santa from the North Wind. Then, at 7 p.m. 6 Central, that's followed by the story of Santa Claus. And this basically is a special that I still think it's aired on CBS. As far as I know, it got aired last year on CBS. So I'm assuming it's going to be the same here. But this is going to be one of those cases where the special doesn't just get shown on CBS, but it's also going to be shown on other platforms, on other networks, MeTV Toons being one of them. And it's a very good animated special. I do recommend you check that out on December 6th. Then on Sunday, December 7th, we have at 5 p.m. 4 Central. We have Inspector Gadget Saves Christmas. At 5:30 p.m. 4:30 Central, we have an Inspector Gadget episode called Gadget in Wonderland or Winterland, depending. I think the Twitter page of MeTV Toons said it differently, right? Yeah, they called it Winterland. They're calling it Wonderland here on their website. I don't know why, but that's at 5:30 p.m. 4:30 Central. On the 7th of December. Then that's followed at 6 p.m. 5 Central by Cabbage Patch Kids Christmas Special, and I do have that, believe it or not, on DVD thanks to Frank Hill. I haven't watched it yet. Because I've been working. A lot of stuff's been going on. But believe me, I think we can find. But believe me, I will make time to watch it. I believe we can find it here on YouTube. So I will be getting to that really, really soon. Hope probably with enough time that I have right now, I'll probably get into it just in time for the holiday season. I think I remember watching it when I was a kid, but can't remember when that was. But I know I seen it when I was a kid. I just haven't seen it in a long time. But yeah, that's going to be at 6 p.m. 5 Central, Cabbage Patch Kids Christmas Special. Then that's followed up at 6:30 p.m., 5:30 Central, by The Puppy Who Wanted a Boy, if you will. And basically that day, the 3-hour block on Sunday is wrapped up at 7 p.m. 6 Central by Christmas Cartoon All Stars. Basically, this is something they did last year. Was basically a special Christmas edition of the Cartoon All Stars block. But instead of regular Looney Tunes, Popeye, Max Fleischer, Betty Boop, Terry Toons, Harvey Toons, and all that. Instead, it's basically very Christmas themed. So a lot of the shorts are going to be Christmas themed. And that's going to be at 7 p.m. 6 Central to close out the 3-hour block on December 7th. Then, on December 13th, Saturday, December 13th, it says at 6 p.m. 5 Central, on this day we will be airing the holiday-themed episodes of Scooby-Doo, including Scooby-Doo Where Are You? That's Snow Ghost, the new Scooby-Doo Mysteries, The Nutcracker Scoob, and the Night of the Living Toys / South Pole Vault, and a pup named Scooby-Doo, Snow Place Like Home. So basically, they're telling you right there on the 13th, it's for those 2 hours, all Scooby-Doo. All Scooby-Doo. Then on December 14th, we will have at 5 p.m. 4 Central on Sunday, December 14th, we will have The Stingiest Man in Town, a classic Rankin Bass musical version of The Christmas Carol. Salpex, if you will, here on YouTube, actually had it in one of her rankings in the recent years, and I think she ranked it decently high to where it's enjoyable. But yeah, basically that comes on at 5 p.m. 4 Central. The Stingiest Man in Town. That's the first, I think, Rankin Bass. Oh, that's the second Rankin Bass special that's going to be airing this year. The other one, I think it's associated with Rankin Bass, is the Miser Brother Christmas. Then and then that's followed up at 5 p.m. Not 5 p.m. but 6 p.m. 5 Central by Oliver and the Artful Dodger. It's basically a Hanna-Barbera sequel to Dickens' Oliver Twist. So yeah, basically on the 14th, again 5 p.m. 4 Central, Stingiest Man in Town. 6 p.m. 5 Central, Oliver and the Artful Dodger. And then at 7:30 p.m. 6:30 Central, it's the 1971 Richard Williams Chuck Jones classic Christmas Carol. Then it says on Saturday, December 20th, we will have at 6 p.m. 5 Central a very Bugs Bunny Christmas, a cozy collection of holiday and winter themed Looney Tunes shorts, and then that's followed up by at 7 p.m. 6 Central once again by Christmas Cartoon All Stars. And then on December 21st, Sunday, December 21st, when this all wraps up for right now, they will have at 5 p.m. 4 Central Story of Santa Claus. That's followed up by at 6 p.m. 5 Central by Casper's First Christmas. That's followed up by at 6:30 p.m. 5:30 Central by The Town That Santa Forgot. And then they close out that 3-hour block at 7 p.m. 6 Central with a Miser Brother Christmas. And then basically whatever they have planned for Thanksgiving and Christmas Day and Christmas Eve, they will let us know later on. Basically, I think what they're going to do, I think what they're going to do for Thanksgiving is they might do what they did last year, and that's do the Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck thing. They might do that. Or heck, they got some new stuff, on board. They might do a marathon of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that day. We'll see. We'll see what they do and everything. They might even, heck, you know what they might do? They might use Thanksgiving weekend, if you will, to, at least that Thursday and Friday, Thanksgiving Day and Thanksgiving Friday, they might use that basically to, even if they're just one-time showings, show a lot of the cartoons they do have the licenses to, or they're acquiring the licenses to, or attempting to show some episodes from them to see whether or not people will be wanting to watch them, as part of MeTV Toons in the future. They might do that, but I think more than likely they're going to go what they did what they did last year. They're going to go with that because Black Friday was basically themed, for black and white cartoons. So I think that's what they're going to do. They're going to do the, they're going to do they're going to do what they did last year with Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck on Thanksgiving, and then they're going to do on Black Friday the black and white tunes thing. And then as far as Christmas Eve and Christmas Day goes, I think they're going to be doing a lot of Christmas themed episodes. It might be doing a lot of specials as well. I think on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day you're going to get the regular episodes, regular shows being seen, but they're all going to have like the Christmas themed episodes shown, or at least winter themed episodes shown. And then I think they're going to close out the days, if you will, like with some of the movies like Yogi's First Christmas, Flintstone Christmas Carol, Stingiest Man in Town, the 1971 Christmas Carol, if you will, and all that. I think that's what they're going to close out Christmas Eve and Christmas Day with. So that's what I think they got planned. But yeah, this looks really good. A lot of people are probably, listening to this or finding out about this, and they're like, man, why did they go, why are they doubling up and everything? Why are they doing, because like I mentioned earlier, they have like 2 hours on Saturday and 3 hours on Sunday. It's like, shouldn't that be reversed? And I think that's something they should do, and hopefully they'll fix that come next year. But to me, this is a good step for them to take, when it comes to doing holiday themed months, if you will, especially later in the year, because what this does, basically what this does, essentially, is it gets people wanting to see more, because obviously obviously they're working to get a lot of different licenses for shows. They're waiting to get a lot of different licenses for shows to be aired on their network. So doing this, I think, is going to be, so doing stuff like this really helps them out. Even if they're doing, even if they're showing stuff just for one time a year or 2 times a year, that's a good idea. That's a good move and everything. And hopefully it does help a lot of these shows that are only making their debut just for this one time to eventually get on there on a full-time basis. Like I said, with Sonic's Christmas Blast, I highly recommend people tune in for that, DVR it, view it. Excuse me, definitely get those numbers up, because the more you get them up, the more it's going to make them realize, hey, people want this. Same with Tasmania. Get the numbers up for that. People are going to want to see it, if you know what I mean. And then, obviously, like I said, when it comes to Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, you're going to see a lot of these, again, probably being repeated that day, along with the other stuff like Yogi's First Christmas, Stingiest Man, and all that. So it's going to be really, I guess you could say, it's going to be like a full-on thrust, if you will, full-on thrust of Christmas specials. And to me, if this succeeds like last year's did, which is why they're expanding this year with more specials, as well as specials they showed last year. If this succeeds, if you will, again, then expect with more shows they're bringing in and more licenses they're trying to acquire, even for the holidays. You know, just imagine, you know, just imagine, that you're getting 2 hours on Saturday, 3 hours on Sunday. Though I think they should reverse it. Just imagine what that's going to be like next year, again, with them acquiring all these licenses, getting all these shows and everything to be part of the lineup. Imagine what's going to happen next year when they do this again, and it's not just for it's not just for Saturday and Sunday. They might even start it off early on a Friday, as well. So they might, instead of doing just 2 days, they might do three. They might say, hey, the weekend starts on Friday, kids get out of school at certain times, boom, let's do this. And they might. Or they might just expand the hours. They might expand it from, 2 hours on Saturday to 3 hours on Saturday next year, and then from 3 hours on Sunday to 4 hours on Sunday next year. So that might happen too. But it all depends on how successful it's going to be, and I think it will be successful. And with them, like I said, trying to work out these deals to acquire all these different shows and everything to be part of the lineup in the future, I think it's going to be, a huge, I think it's going to be just a huge positive for them in the long run. It really is. But that's all I can say for it, guys. Let me know what your thoughts are down below in the comment section if you haven't already done so in the live chat during this video premiere. And like I said at the beginning, do me a solid favor, and that's like the video, ring the bell for notifications, subscribe to the channel, and share the video. Again, do me that favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel, share the video, and ring the bell for notifications. And click on the links in the description to find my content elsewhere outside of YouTube, as well as to support me in other areas outside of YouTube as well. But guys, give me your thoughts. What are you looking forward to the most out of this year's Tis the Season for Toons? What are you looking forward to? Like, what specials and all that are you going to set your DVR for, if you will, depending on how and when, where, and how you watch this. Let me know what you're looking forward to the most, and what do you hope for them to bring to the table next year, as far as like holiday episodes or specials for shows that they may have or may not have yet, and they could test the waters with those next year. And do you think expanding maybe to an extra day next year, or expanding by an extra hour on both days, will help them out as well. Let me know, and until then, I will talk to y'all later. And also, in closing, let me know what you think they're going to have planned for Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and Thanksgiving and Black Friday. Let me know what your thoughts are, and until next time, I am out. God bless. Take care.